Hello, guys. It's me, Butterfly Spirit 314. So I just did an entire live. I think it was like 33 minutes about my pole dance class experience today. So if you guys want to watch that, you definitely can. Just go to my channel, Butterfly Spirit 314 on YouTube, and you can definitely check out that live. In today's video, I'm answering the question: can guys do? Ooh, my hands are like weird. Anyway, can guys do pole dancing? Yes, guys can do pole dancing. In one of my pole dancing classes last year, there was a guy who came to the studio and he took a pole dancing class. And he learned, the beginner moves, just like us girls did. It is rare for me when I am in classes to see a guy like that, like rarely ever happens. But one time there was a guy that was in my pole dancing class. And so I do want to let you guys know guys can pole dance. They actually can. This reminds me also of I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show King of Queens before. So there was this clip on YouTube of King of Queens where Doug is pole dancing because his wife Carrie, she's trying to learn pole dancing and she's trying to learn it from a class and stuff. And so what she does is that she tries to learn a pole dance to like entice Doug, and everything into bed and all that. And so she's trying to be more sexy and all that. And what you end up seeing is you end up seeing where Doug ends up doing a pole dance routine, and he's actually showing Carrie, his wife, like how to pole dance and stuff. And so when I saw that clip of King of Queens of Doug doing pole dancing, then it inspired me, and it actually that was kind of one of the things that actually got me to go to pole dancing and stuff. There's another show, Doctor House. There was this episode where there's this lady, I guess the head over the doctor department or whatever, and this is the girl that House has kind of been with or whatever. And one part she was pole dancing, and like he was having this fantasy of her pole dancing and stuff and everything and stuff or whatever. And so like on TV, you will see like pole dancing and stuff like that when people do stuff. But yes, guys can pole dance, and they can. It's okay for a guy to take a pole dance class. It's okay for a guy to learn. A lot of times when I take classes, a lot of times it's just girls to take classes and stuff. When it comes to being taught in class by a pole teacher, I prefer to be taught by a female because I'm a female. So a female teacher, like the things she can do, I'm going to be able to do. I kind of shy away from the idea of being taught by a guy just because I don't know, it's just not my thing and stuff. At another studio, they did have the opportunity of me taking like an introduction to pole series and stuff, but it was taught by a guy, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that personally. But I'm going to take that series. But yes, guys can take pole dancing. In fact, I was just this video got inspired to me by I was on YouTube. I saw this video, and there was this guy, and he saw this beginner pole dance choreography, and he mentioned that he was a guy, and he said he asked if guys can do pole dancing. And as a response to that comment, it's just on somebody else's YouTube channel, but a response to that comment is yes, guys can do pole dancing. My teacher in my class, she was talking about how there was this move she was trying to do, and her husband was actually able to just do this like flag sort of move or whatever that it took her forever to do. And so guys may be able to jump in and do some moves because of their body strength and stuff that they have and stuff. So they're able to do it too. So yes, guys can pole dance. Yes, they can do it. It's not just for girls, it's for guys too. I know a lot of guys, you're not going to see a lot of guys on social media pole dancing. You're not going to find that. You might find guys break dancing or doing other types of dance, but you're not going to find them pole dancing a lot. But yes, there are guys who learn how to pole dance, and they know how to do that, So it's okay for a guy to learn to pole dance. It's completely fine. I mean, a guy can learn to pole dance maybe because he's trying to entice his woman in the bedroom or something. And he's like, hey, I want to learn some new moves. I want to, spice things up. There's nothing wrong with a guy learning pole dance. Whether a guy is older or younger, they can learn pole dance. Same thing with women. I remember there was a lady on YouTube I saw. She was in her like 70s. There's another lady in her 80s doing pole dance and stuff. And those ladies were fit. Okay. They were fit. So pole dance is for people of different ages. I will say, who shouldn't pole dance? I would say that girls shouldn't pole dance if they're younger, and things. I wouldn't recommend that for them. I'd say they at least want to be like 18, before they start, doing pole dance or whatever. Guys, girls, can pole dance. But I would say whoever wants to pole dance, at least be 18. Because if you're going to post yourself doing videos and stuff, pole dancing by a lot of people's definition, a lot of people think if you do pole dancing, you're a stripper. You're not. You're not. You're definitely not. Pole dancing is a great way to work out. It's a great way to learn to lift your body weight, to stay in shape and stuff. It's amazing. So I think it's great. And yes, guys can do it. And yes, guys can get their own pole dance style, their own pole dance flair if they want to. It's completely fine, And there's many different genres of pole dance too. So it's completely okay, for men to do pole dance. It's fine. It's not just for ladies. Okay. So I just wanted to let you guys know, like, if you are a guy or a guy out there who wants to do pole dancing, then you can definitely let them know that they can. They just have to find a studio. There are some people who learn how to pole dance by like following along at home. My advice is that there are some things it's easier to learn at a studio than it is at home, because if you're learning dance at a studio, no matter what type of dance it is, the reason why I recommend learning dance at a studio rather than learning it online is because if you try to learn something online, like the person who you're following along with, they're not going to be able to catch your mistakes. If you're in an actual studio and you're learning dance, your instructor can catch your mistakes in person and say, hey, wait a minute, or they can stop you from injuring yourself. So I've seen that in pole dance. I've seen that in chair dance, where I've had instructors that actually caught people and prevented them from injuring themselves, because they saw that the person's, what they were trying to do, they weren't built for it yet. And so the teachers caught their mistakes. If you have a person that's trying to do something advanced that they're learning online, that instructor that they're following along with online is not going to be able to catch them. That's why I suggest people do stuff in person, so they can learn from an instructor that can teach them how to do it the right way to prevent injury, because people can get injured in dance. And so it's so important to learn how to do it in person and stuff. And I've had instructors that have said, that instruct me and they teach me, hey, do it this way, and they'll modify a move for me if I don't know how to do something, And so that's why I suggest people learn to dance in person, because it actually helps, because the instructor can catch mistakes and prevent people from getting injured. Because there are people who get injured. And with pole dancing, one thing that people don't know about pole dancing is pain does come with pole dancing. It actually does. People don't talk about it, but it does, because the body has to build up resistance. And the more resistance that's built up, the less pain a person feels. So me, luckily, I mean, I have hit my knee. Like today I did chair dance. I pulled a muscle and stuff. Yes, it can happen where you can get injured. Okay. So that's why it's important we warm up, because if we warm up, then we're less likely to get injured and stuff. So answer the question, yes, men can pole dance. Just like women, they can pole dance. A man can have his own style. That's completely fine. But if a guy's going to learn or a girl's going to learn, please learn in person, because if you learn in person, it's going to be so much better, and your instructor can catch you and prevent you from doing something dangerous. There are some people, I know people want to like fly through pole dancing, but there are some moves that people can't do because they don't have the strength built up to do. And so that's why it's important to follow along with an instructor and let an instructor teach you how to do it, because they're teaching you the safe way to do it. It's the same thing as when people will go out and they'll go out and buy a pole and they'll think a pole is a pole is a pole. No, no, no. A pole is a pole, is not a pole. The poles that you buy at a sex shop, okay, where they have lingerie and sex toys and all that, those poles are not professional grade poles. They are not. They are not. Those poles are not meant to hold a person's body weight. They are not. There are certain brands of poles that are professional level that pole dance studios actually use. Okay, and those poles are meant to hold hundreds of pounds. Okay, the poles at the sex shops, they do not hold people's body weight. I know people trying to save money, but those poles are not safe to use. And I said this in my previous live. There are girls who go to buy a pole from, a sex store and all that. They'll put it up and they'll think, oh, I'm going to learn to pole dance on this. And they have actually climbed the pole and they have found themselves getting injured by trying to do pole dance stuff, because those poles are not built for that. And they are not. There's a certain way, if you buy a pole, there's a certain way to set it up. There's a certain way to actually measure your ceiling to make sure that pole, like you order a pole that's the right size for the ceiling. They actually have poles that some people buy that you can do pole dancing outside. So they have poles for that too. But it's important to make sure you buy a reliable brand of the pole that you get. And also know there's different types. Your body's going to react differently to the different types of metal, like the different metal that there are for poles. Okay, like for me, I like a stainless steel pole. The one I practice on, that's stainless steel mostly. I tried it on like another type of pole, like I don't know if it was brass or it was something else, but my body didn't really like that pole. But I let myself say, hey, although I have an affinity to the pole that I do at one studio, I can also build an affinity or a trust with another pole. And that's what it's about. When it comes to pole dancing, it's about trusting the pole. If a person doesn't trust the pole, they probably don't want to do it. And also, if you go into pole with a limiting mentality, then that limiting mentality is going to prevent you from being able to move forward. It's okay to be like me and be a thinker and overanalyze. That's fine. It's okay. But the thing is, you don't want to go into pole dance and be scared. You know, Now some people go into pole dance classes and they go in there to try it out, to try something fun, to try something new, and they only do one class. Some girls go learn pole dancing because they learn it because they want to spice stuff up in the bedroom and they only want to take a couple of classes. There was a girl that was in a class before that I was in years ago, a couple years ago, and she was learning pole dancing and stuff like that and stuff, and she was doing pretty good at it. And I found out that she stopped coming to pole class, and I found out it was because she ended up getting pregnant. So she was so good at pole dancing that, well, she ended up pregnant, and of course she had to stop doing pole dancing. So I guess it must have worked for her boyfriend and stuff. I guess it must have, because she got pregnant. But yeah, I mean, everybody learns pole dance for different reasons. My reason for learning pole dance is because it's fun. Um, it's fun, but it also allows me to flow with my feminine energy and stuff. That's why I really love pole dance, is to like build my feminine energy, and that's what I love about it. But yeah, guys can do pole dancing and stuff, and there's some guys who do some pretty cool stuff, like have their own routines that they do and shit. It's like pretty cool and stuff as well. So yeah, pole dancing is for guys and for girls. It's for everybody, no matter your age. Of course, you want to make sure you're at least 18 before you do pole dancing and stuff. But yeah, please, if you're going to try pole, please don't go into it with a limiting mentality of, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? Please don't go into that, because if you go into pole dancing with a limiting mentality, it's going to stop you from being able to learn stuff. I used to think years ago, I wanted to try pole dancing And I was like, oh my gosh, will my family think? And oh my gosh, if they knew I was doing this and stuff, they're going to think bad of me or whatever. That's what I used to think. I take pole dancing classes now, and honestly, I take it because I like it. I'm grown. I don't care. Like, am I going to tell my relatives I do it? No. But it's something I like to do. With my older relatives probably flip their lid or something and be like, oh my God, you should be doing that like stripper. I'm not a stripper. I'm somebody having fun, you know? Pole dance is about having fun. Now, are people, if you tell people you do pole dance, are people going to think something about you if you tell your family that? Yes. Your family members are probably going to feel some type of way about you, especially the older ones, if you tell them you're doing stuff like pole dancing, because they're going to think you're a stripper or something when you're not. You're just trying something out, you know? So if you do pole and you want to try it out, you can keep it to yourself or tell whoever you want to. If you don't want to tell people, you ain't got to. You ain't got to go online and say, hey, I'm doing pole dancing to everybody you know. No, just do what you want. Do what makes you feel the most happy. Whether you're a guy or a girl, you can do pole dancing. It's fine. You ain't got to tell people. You ain't got to tell your friends. You ain't got to tell nobody else. Do it because you like it. Whatever hobby you have, do it because you like it. Don't give a fuck about what other people say or what the fuck they think. Because if you have fun doing something, it's you. Do the damn thing. Do the damn thing. None of my family members know. Well, a couple of my family members know that I do pole dancing. My brother and sister know. That's it. Do my older relatives know? No. Do they know I'm on YouTube doing pole dancing? No. But that's okay. So I just want to let you guys know, just because somebody does pole dancing doesn't mean they're a stripper. It doesn't mean that they're this bad influence or any of that shit. They're doing pole dancing because they want to. Now, the funny thing is, at the other studio that I go to, that studio is actually owned by a lady that actually was a former stripper. Fun fact. But she's super cool and super chill and stuff. And I like that. I mean, I like the fact of pole dancing. And pole dancing, there's so many different genres that are out there for pole dancing. It's not just the super sexy, spicy kind of thing. There are different genres. There's people who are in the more like athletic sort of pole dancing. There's people who are in the more exotic. There's people who are into the whole burlesque kind of pole dancing. There's people in the low flow pole dancing. There's just so many different genres of pole dancing that are out there. It's not just about it being hot and steamy and sexy. There's so many different genres. But yes, again, guys can take pole dancing classes and they can get pretty good at it, just like girls. And you don't have to rush through it. Take your time, enjoy it. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.